What's up, RotoGrinders? Dean here. Dean78904. That's my daily fantasy handle. You did not see that handle anywhere near a top Major League Baseball contest last night. Somewhere near the bottom, if I was playing some low ball. Not go good for your boy. We had way too much David Peterson, and he put up a big old -10 or something like that on DK. Did not go well for myself. Joined today by Tasteful Tides, Tim. Tim, a specialist in single game. Well, actually, you are a specialist in single game NFL, which we'll talk about briefly tonight. Should be a fun one, man. Really exciting game. I'm looking forward to it. Chargers versus the Chiefs should be a ton of offense. And I know you did the content, the premium show. Now there's premium shows, there's non-premium shows. You did the premium show with Eric Binefor. How did you get him to stop talking about best ball for 5 minutes? Was that difficult?
He only talked about it for like one quick sentence, and I was really impressed. You can tell it's week 2 now. You know, the best ball bros have kind of quieted down a little bit. So
you say that like in a way where you're not a best ball bro. I'm guessing. Did you download best ball?
Nope. I don't have one single dollar in best balls.
I have one, but like I just one team amongst like friends of mine, like basically, and I don't even know who I couldn't tell you who's on my team. I thought I did a good draft, but I don't know. I haven't gone back, and it's always a sad state when like the slate's going so poorly from the DFS perspective. You're looking at your best ball like that. Maybe we can salvage. Oh boy, my season long team. You know, that's when you know things are in trouble, right? Like it's not a good week when you care about that. You're just looking for any sort of positive news. But yeah, I was going to say, go ahead.
Yeah. I understand why people like best ball. It's just not for me. I really like the daily grind of like putting that puzzle together, you know, and kind of managing just it on a daily basis. And kind of, I just think that drafting like before the season starts it just isn't for me. But I can see why people enjoy it so much.
Do you want to say what's up to the chat? No, I'm not anti-best ball either. I can see enjoying it as well. I don't like tying my money up for 6 months either, whatever it is, 4 months, depending on what I'm drafting. But also, like, you know, theoretically, it's probably like a nice, oh, wow, I look at all this money I just found out of nowhere. You forget. It's been so long. Hello, chat. Your boy Broccoli Boy's in chat. He's giving us a hard time. We started at 5:01 on the East Coast and not 5 o'clock. I guess he's very upset. We needed you had to finish shaving. Is that what's going on over there? You had just to finish your shave in time to get the hot shave.
I did my one shave for the next probably 2 months. So I did it a couple days ago, so it's a little bit grown back in. But I'm trying to be a little cleaner. Dean. I'm trying to be more Dave Potts and less Grant.
Yeah, fair enough. There's a happy medium there someplace too. I'm sure if you want to get there. Not that there's anything wrong with you being either one of those people. We got in chat. Don't start. Basically quoting me from yesterday. Don't start Nestor Torres. Not enough pitches. I don't know how many pitches he threw, but like, was he good? Was Nestor okay yesterday? Start Peterson. Yeah. Like I look. Here's the thing. If like I'm gonna say play Peterson, and he did poorly, it makes you feel better. I lost money too. Like, does that make you feel better? And like, if you listen, you're like, oh man, I played this Peter. And by the way, like me and like 70% of my friends played Peterson. I don't know. Did you see the number on Peterson yesterday as far as the ownership? Of course, it wasn't a big slate. And he was like the one that made the most sense. Like him and Burns were like the common pairing. I wasn't saying anything goofy, but yeah, you pointed a scoreboard and it did not work out for your boy. I mean, we're a forward-thinking show. We care about daily fantasy sports today and today only. But I'm curious, did you take part in the Peterson nonsense yesterday?
Yeah, I was right there with you for low ball on DK yesterday. But on FanDuel, because of that kind of watered down Dodgers lineup, I got off of some of those expensive Dodgers I was gonna play and went up to Burns, and I ended up cashing on FanDuel.
Look at you!
So, yeah, I got pretty lucky because I was gonna play Peterson on FanDuel also. So yeah, my score on DK was horrible.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good for me either. Did Cortez pitch good yesterday? What did I miss? I didn't think he was spectacular. I thought it was like a 3-3 game kind of early or in the middle of the game.
What he did. I don't know what he did yesterday.
He went 5 and struck out 7, and he threw. You know what? He threw 65 pitches. And we actually entertained, like, yeah, he could thread the needle in theory if he can, strike out 6 or 7 and go 5 innings, but just getting brought back from injury. He threw 65 pitches. And if you were told he's going to throw 65 pitches, there's no chance you're rostering him.
Are you getting trolled in the chat because
it's not a troll per se. It's just basically they're speaking facts, I guess. And I did say don't play, Nestor and his mustache, Cortez, but whatever. The one that's like a 99 percentile outcome where he's if he throws 65 pitches, and good for him. But it didn't work out for me. It's fine. According to Michael in chat, yeah, Peterson was 50% on his tournaments on DK. Yeah, so I knew it was a huge number. In the single entry stuff, in the 3 entry max, it was even higher.
Yeah, he was 60. He was 63% in the 254 max.
Mm-hmm.
So. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think honestly, I'd play him again. So
I would too. Yeah.
I just think that it's just one of those things in baseball where things happen and you end up looking foolish. But it's just one of those things. Baseball can be fluky.
It's process versus result. The process was correct. Whatever. It didn't work out. Things happen. He got a quick hook. I think he walked the first 3 batters, just kind of troublesome. And I want to say he threw like 35 pitches or so in the first inning, and then eventually he gave like a double or a single. And was it only a couple of hits? I want to say, but it wasn't good. Whatever it was, and the slate was rough. And guess what? We're going to be endorsing some pitchers that are bad tonight as well. Well, I shouldn't say bad. Peterson's not bad. He's actually been good this year, but just had a bad outing. But this slate today, Tim, we should mention, depending on where you're shopping on FanDuel is got one extra game. They got the Philadelphia-Miami game. That's why the Crunch Time crew are going to be coming out. They're going to be coming out a little bit earlier today, probably 6:15. Take you guys all up to the FanDuel lock. Go beyond that if necessary. Talking some DK. They'll be talking both, obviously. Philadelphia Miami is included on the main slate for FanDuel. FanDuel slate starts at 6:40, and the DK slate not including it. So their slate starts at 7:20. So no Syndergaard and no Lopez talk on DK. Did you look at? I know you're kind of you dive into the scores and odds stuff. I was curious what the birdie odds are of stealing a base against Syndergaard because
I didn't look. I tagged Birdie in lineup HQ, but I didn't actually look up the odds.
I looked at it earlier. I'm curious. Well, take a guess. What do you think it is? Let me see. I assume I should know this, but I assume Birdie's leading off. He is leading off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what would you get? Syndergaard, the easiest guy to steal bases against Birdie, one of the best base stealers in baseball. You're essentially kind of betting on him getting on base, right?
Right. So plus 175.
I think it's worse than that. At least it was earlier.
Earlier in the year, they were so much higher, and then the books caught on, and they just made them so much worse odds. So I'm not sure where the books stand now, but you used to be able to get all those. We've been streaming stolen bases against Syndergaard all year.
Uh-huh.
But then the books finally caught up, so I'm not really sure.
It looks like the best odds are at BetMGM, and it's plus 110.
Well, that's amazing because earlier in the year, Birdie was plus 300, I think, against Syndergaard, or even better, very early on in the year.
Yeah, in chat they're mentioning that B-Shot's talking about how his stolen bases have been muted. I think he's just been pitching good and people haven't been getting on base, and I've watched some of his starts, and I'm sure if you have a guy, you bet on the stolen base, there's nothing more tilting than your guy's going, he has the base stolen, and of course the batter's got to swing and round the ball somewhere or pop it up or foul it out. It's dude, just let the guy get the stolen base, man. But several times I've seen watching the games, I think it was against Washington, they kept hitting the ball when the guys are running. So teams are onto it, but his stolen bases have been subdued a little bit of late, and he's still the easiest guy to steal against, though. I would say that, and there's no reason to shy away. But that is a pretty fascinating number.
I would never bet that. That's like a book hanging a line, just saying if you really want to bet it, go ahead. But I would personally never put any dollars on that bet.
And he can also like be at the mercy of, obviously he leads the game off. Nobody's on in front of him, but later on in the game, Diaz can be in front of him, like, at second base or first base and like preventing him from stealing a base. And you should get 3 cracks at it theoretically, but not necessarily because somebody might be in front of him. You really want to get it in the first. And if he gets on, he's going to go, right? Like within the first couple pitches.
Right.
But yeah, I just don't think
those odds. Those odds are so bad, though. I won't even consider it.
So let's see. Broccoli Boy's got a trivia question for us. Okay. In Tide's favorite episode, The Black Swan, what does cousin Andy order that makes them play behind Norm? Do you know what he's talking about?
Well, my favorite Curb episode is Black Swan.
Okay, the Black Swan. They're at the golf club.
Yeah,
the Black Swan.
I'm trying to remember what cousin Andy ordered.
Dude, seriously, that is way too specific of a trivia question, Broccoli Boy. I've seen this episode. I don't know. I don't know. Didn't Larry accidentally kill the Black Swan? Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Yeah. He might have got kicked out of the club. Crispy onions. That's the order? I don't remember that. Come on. I realize now I got Larry over my shoulder. I'm like, why is this question being asked? Yeah, Larry David is that's how he feels about Peterson's start yesterday. That was me. My slate was over really quickly. I was thinking about switching the other players, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's just, I was gonna like swap guys out, like as far as my later hitters, see if I can catch up that way. And I'm like, I don't think it's gonna make a difference. But tonight, man, I hate that Lance McCullers is the quote unquote best option, best pitcher, because he's been so lucky. He's been bad but good, 2.2 ERA. That's awesome. Good for him. But his xERA is over 4. xERA is over 4. The Sierra's 4.7. He's been lucky as far as left on base, 88%. He's walking too many guys, 12.5%. But there's nobody that's great. And they're all kind of sort of, I guess you want to say over. None of these guys would be somebody I would be rostering on a normal slate with good pitchers. But you got to roster 1 on Fanduel, you got to roster 2 on DK, and that's that. You tell me, like, what is your thought process here as far as pitchers? Because I don't like it. I don't like it. I like to feel good about my pitchers. I don't feel good about anybody here.
My lean on FanDuel anyway is that if you want to have if you really love your lineup, but you need the 900 for Carrasco, go ahead and play Carrasco. If you build a team that you love and you're fine with McCullers, play McCullers. So I hope that makes sense. But I think you should organically kind of land on either one of those two guys. I'm not saying that I have a hot take about who would be better. The one thing I will say is McCullers' leash is going to be a lot better. He's projected to throw a lot more pitches. He's projected to pitch 107 pitches, where Carrasco is projected for 89. But I love Carrasco's matchup and the ballpark a lot better. So it's not like McCullers is some kind of you have to play him, because in single entry and cash games or really anything, you don't want walks. McCullers walks a lot of guys, and that can just, eat up those, that huge projected pitch count. It doesn't, your leash is only so good.
Not to cut you off, but you could argue McCullers to throw 110 pitches, he can only go 5 innings sometimes, and Carrasco can use his 90 pitches and throw 6 1/3. You know what I mean?
Right. I was just going to say, your leash is kind of relative to your efficiency. So if McCullers isn't going to be efficient, then you can kind of disregard that projected pitch count. And so that's why I say that between the two, build your bats first and see and go from there. I think that going further down the board, I don't have a lot of interest in Mikolas on either site. And I really don't have much interest in Lopez or Syndergaard on FanDuel.
Yeah, I mean, we'll run through them. We got time to do so. But in chat, being told by Aaron, like, settle down about Oakland. Yeah, Oakland's got a 2.9 implied team total. I'm not here saying Oakland's good. At one point did I say the A's are a good baseball club? But, like, they also can, like, theoretically get walked, and if McCullers is not hitting the plate, and I saw his velocity's even down a tick this year. You know, I don't know why they're pushing him, by the way, just for the record. Like, wouldn't they want to make sure fragile arm, hurt basically the entire season? You'd think they would want him, as fresh as possible for the playoffs. And Houston's kind of in cruise control right now, I think. I mean, they're definitely in the playoffs. I'm not sure if they've locked up like a 1 or a 2 seed or whatever. Maybe not. I probably should know that, but whatever.
I don't like to speculate how teams, use their guys kind of like behind the scenes, like with their workout process. We don't really know. So, like, some guys might want to be peaking now, or slowing down now. I think I think it's very individual. So it's just I'm not really sure.
Yeah, you never really know. Different philosophies, different teams. Did you hear that commercial, by the way? Did you have to catch that? Or no?
I heard a little of something. I wasn't sure what that was.
Yeah, I jumped on ESPN just to see the standings, and God forbid you don't throw me a commercial within 3 seconds. I just want to see the standings. Can I do that without getting thrown a commercial my way? I guess not. I'm sure there's someplace else I can go, but now I'm rattled. It startled me. I'm like, oh man, where's that voice coming from? Yeah, McCullers is like the best pitcher, I guess, on this slate, but again, I don't love him. And of course, he's going to be super heavily owned, especially on DK, where you have one less game and you got to roster one more pitcher. If you pull up our ownership stuff right now, 62%. And obviously, if you say, well, I don't want to play McCullers, who am I going to play? You're not going to feel comfortable about Miles Mikolas is fine, I guess. Like, he can eat innings. The matchup's good against Cincinnati. The ballpark's good, but he's probably not going to strike out more than 4 or 5. But you're probably not winning this slate from pitching. At least you just want to survive, basically. You can work backwards, right? Okay, we're not playing Kaprelian, right?
No, we're not.
Okay, we'll cross them off the list. We're not playing Chase Anderson, right?
Correct.
Okay. Dre Jamison, he's 4K. Like, I don't know. Salary is not really much of a thing, so I don't know what you're doing. Like, there's nothing you got to pay up for. So I guess theoretically, if you need a punt a pitcher, he's useful. He's a bit of a prospect for what it's worth. He's like 5 or 6 or 7 in the organization. I did see him on a couple top 100 lists in all of baseball, but his numbers weren't great.
I think that if you're like building 50 teams or more, you could put him in a couple, but really that's it.
Yeah. And then there's a bunch of guys that everybody's different degrees of uncomfortable. Daniel Lynch, uncomfortable. Dylan Bundy, uncomfortable, but like a good matchup. Casey stinks. Brubaker's fine. Good ballpark. I don't really want to pick on the Mets. They're a little weakened these days without Marte. Manaea has been a disaster of late. They took him out of the rotation. He pitched an inning or so just to kind of get some work. He's not been good. Last 2 starts, he's been like just bamboozled out there. I like the Arizona side more than the Manaea side. Like, theoretically, he still has capabilities, but it's just been lost of late. And then we're back to McCullers and Carrasco. Carrasco, what did he throw as far as his pitches last time? Theoretically, you kind of work yourself up to 15 or so pitches in increments as far as building his arm back up. I think you said we're projecting around 90, 89. Is that what the number is?
Yep. 89.
Yeah. Last time out versus the Marlins, he threw 74 pitches, 6 innings, and 54 before that. And, if you crank it up 15 more pitches, 89 Carrasco pitches, I'll take 89 Carrasco pitches versus versus the Pirates in a good ballpark. And I almost feel safer about that than McCullers. And again, I'm not trying to scare anybody away from McCullers. Like, he's fine too. It's just whatever the chalk is, it's kind of sort of bad, but like it's even worse as far as the alternatives. I don't mean
most of my argument for Carrasco was for FanDuel, just to clarify, just to build your bets first on FanDuel and see where you land between McCullers and Carrasco. But on DK, it's obviously McCullers and Carrasco. I do have a little bit of interest in Daniel Lynch on DK at 6,700. He's projected for 5 strikeouts. This Twins lineup has become increasingly watered down. Like, seems like every single day someone else gets hurt. So it's just, there are some strikeouts in this lineup, and I think given that price and this ownership, he's got, I think, he's 4% projected owned, whereas like Brubaker and Manaea are both in the double digits, which I think is really bad. I think that those, like, in your portfolios, you should have the reverse of that. You should have double-digit Lynch and single-digit Manaea, single-digit Brubaker.
Pulling up that Minnesota lineup there, talking about the KC versus Minnesota, fire up the old plate IQ, and let's see what we have as far as the Ks here. Garlick leading off is nice to see because he's got plenty of power, right? Against lefties, probably gets pinch hit for just for the record. If Heredia comes in or when Heredia comes in, the situation calls for it. Decent chance he gets the hook, but he also strikes out 30% of the time. Correa, Miranda, or Urshela are good contact guys. Sanchez batting 5th is a sign that like there's injuries going on in Minnesota. Yeah, we know Buxton's obviously been lost for a while. They do have left on left Gordon in there, who a pretty good contact hitter, but the power is non-existent. Man, you see what the ISO is? It's 71 at bats. It's not a huge sample, but his ISO versus lefties this year is 32, which is bad. That's really bad. Celestino, by the way, 67 at 99 at bats. There is no power out of either one of those guys versus lefties. That's interesting.
This is a low key, really good matchup for Lynch, I think. Just obviously you're not going to want to play him in cash games, but I think for larger field contests, he's a really good play.
Who's playing cash right now at this point? Let me know in chat if you're still playing cash. I'm curious. Are you still playing cash or not playing cash?
I do, yeah.
Oh, are you playing cash games tonight?
Probably not tonight because I'm on a show, but on nights that I don't have a show, then a lot of times I do.
Okay, yeah. If you're playing cash games tonight, you're probably playing. It's probably McCullers and Carrasco on DK, right?
100%.
Yeah. If you're
playing,
but
I think Lynch is fine even for like a 3-max setting. Like put him in 1 of 3.
Because the ownership is going to be it's going to be McCullers and Carrasco like 60, 70, 75%.
Yeah, and I just really think that if Lynch can get through Correa Miranda, then he's not a lot of resistance in the bottom of that lineup.
Joe in chat says he's cashing at a 75% clip this year in cash games. That's awesome. If 75% is an incredible number. That's really impressive. Wow. That's pretty good. Keep playing them. Find your niche, man. If that's your edge, if you can somehow
I think cash games are still profitable. Like obviously the margins are tighter, but I still like playing cash games.
It's this weird decision because I felt like I was spending too much time on them, and like you know what I mean. Like time is a commodity too, right? And I would sit there and think about my 2v2s for like 10, 15 minutes or whatever it is. Like I couldn't make a decision. And then I would neglect my tournament stuff. And my tournament stuff, I'd be scrambling and then I'd have nonsense out there. So it's just trying to delegate my time and trying to figure out how to best use it. Do you understand the conundrum I'm talking about? And you make only like 1 or 2 lineups, I think, or 3 lineups. So it's not as difficult. Sometimes I'll make 4 or 5 or 6 and just kind of screw around in the back end. But that was one of the reasons why I kind of pulled back from cash, is that I felt like it was hurting me all around, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're absolutely right. Time is a commodity. And, I used to build 8-10 teams every single day. And now I'm just one lineup. I just focus on that one lineup. And, it's definitely different. But that's just, like you said, it's more time consuming. And it's just easier for me to do it the way that I do it now.
And I get so caught up. Like if you make the wrong decision in air quotes, and it's like a lot of times it's like 51-49, and especially in baseball, like you make the wrong decision, your lineup can completely be like flipped. That's what's deciding your night.
I think the tough one is basketball with cash games. I mean, basketball seems like that's the real like 1v1 in cash games. Is basketball is because optimizers have become so good. That's the tough one for me. Is basketball cash games.
It's tricky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll like lock in like 3 players that I definitely want, and like some of them I'm making a stand on, and then I'll see like what's being spit out. And I'm not somebody that's just going to straight follow an optimizer. I'm definitely from like the I know better school sometimes.
Right.
And like, sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. When you look at the results, it's like, oh man, maybe I should have listened to that. That's unfortunate. And too bad everybody else did that. And now I'm getting crushed because I thought that play wasn't good. It happens those times. But yeah, man, you just mentioned basketball. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. It's already the 19th, I want to say, of next month is when basketball fires up. We got like a 2-week.
Yeah, and I think hockey's the 12th or 16th. So I'm pretty excited.
I'm getting. I think I'm going to be in a hockey keeper league. Ugh.
Wow.
I mean, I know.
Wow. How did you get invited to one of those?
They know I'm a fish. My buddy, Pepsi. I don't know if you know Pepsi from old school RG. Yeah. And I'm probably going to be in some best balls. But if you want to dabble, feel free to inquire. Slide in my DMs. There might be some room. I'm not really sure. I'm not setting it up personally, but we might be able to get you in if you're interested in such things. Other things that are worth talking about as far as pitchers. Again, the pool isn't great. You kind of threw them away quickly, by the way, in Fanduel. You have no interest in Syndergaard and Lopez. I think they're both fine. Probably not the first option, but I think again, that's one of those deals. If you're playing 20 lineups or 15 or maybe even 30. Pool, you'd have Syndergaard and Lopez, I think, in the pool. Maybe you tell me.
Yeah, if you're spreading out over 20, I'm okay with it. It's just, Daniel Lynch is projected for more strikeouts than Noah Syndergaard. So it's just, I think that Syndergaard is just such low strikeouts now that it's not worth it for me. I have more interest in Lopez than I would Syndergaard. But I really don't have much. I don't have much interest in either.
How much has his velocity shot down over the years? Because again, this is like Thor. Now he's striking out 17% of people. He's like he's like Zach Greinke-ish. He's more Zach Greinke than Jacob deGrom these days.
That's a good point. Yeah.
We got to get a name change. I commissioned the chat to give me a name change for Syndergaard, but it's not great. And yes, in the chat, they're saying I'm a fish. That's why I'm getting invited. Oh, yeah, I'm for sure. Although I did finish like second or third in a hockey best ball this last season. And it wasn't for Ekblad getting hurt. So I did a little research. I dabble, but I don't pretend to be a hockey expert in any way. But it's fun. I'm looking forward to it. Well, why can't they get more bigger pots for DFS for hockey? I'm sure that's one of your gripes as well.
It sure is. Yeah, I have no answer for that. I know that there's a small little community that have tried to push for that for quite some time and to no avail. So I don't know. It's just, it's obviously just a smaller pool of people that want to play.
I did have the Ross weather. Nothing really going on. There was one that was yellow green. I just dropped it in chat for the people. I closed that page out. I'm playing injured today. I'm without my side monitor. If you can tell, I don't know how much you need your side monitor, but I love my side monitor. And I got like different things I got it all squeezed into my little laptop now, but I'm thrown off. If I seem a little rattled, it's not just from that ESPN commercial dropping on me. It's because I got my side monitors lost. So yeah. Are you a side monitor guy?
I am. Yes. I do
have
a side monitor.
It's rough. The cable broke or something, or the monitor's not getting read. I got to talk to tech support or just order another cord. I think that's what we're going to do. Minnesota, it's yellow-green for what it's worth. Of course, Roth will be on in about, 40 minutes. They're coming on early today again. If you guys missed the start of the show, Fanduel starting their slate today at 6:40. DK starting their slate at 7:20. And then, of course, the football game. What time is the football? 8:15 tonight? Is that about right?
I believe so, yes.
We do have a free scores and odds article up that I want to share with the people. And Head Chopper's got a take as far as the game tonight. I believe Keith participated in this. And I think SDL cards also. I'll go ahead and drop this link in chat if you're in the appropriate.
And Noto, I think also.
Noto gave a little chimed in. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Are you sure? Because yeah, there you go. Okay, yeah, you go. You're on top.
I actually read the articles, Dean. You know,
I perused it. Well,
yeah,
you're in a place you can bet it, right?
You glance through them and look for the bold print. That's what you do.
Yeah, the big letters, they stand out to me, so I'm going to focus on that. Yeah. Isn't that why they make those letters big? Do they want me to notice it? I'm a fish when it comes to reading, too, apparently. Whatever you want me to do, I'm easy to manipulate. So anything else to say here as far as pitchers? You want to take your big stands as far as pitchers? It's kind of gross. I like Mikolas more than you do. I don't like Mikolas at all, but I think he's playable. I think he can eat some innings. The matchup's fine. He should survive. I'm looking for survival. It's gross, man. But I'm gonna play some. I think. I don't feel great about it.
He would probably be like number 4 in my ownership, where I would go, McCullers. This is for DK. I'd go McCullers, Carrasco, Lynch, Mikolas. That's what I would do. And honestly, I don't think I would go anywhere else. That would just be my 4 pitchers.
Let's see the chats. They're having it. Yeah, I don't know if you were watching yesterday, but Blender had a whole diatribe talking about his spreadsheets, and it's good stuff. Like he was doing, but he puts out good content. I haven't taken his course, but I'm sure his course is useful. Theory of DFS. Feel free to check that out. But and hours upon hours of details. And yeah, I've not seen Blender's spreadsheets today. I wouldn't know who would be jumping off in that spreadsheet, but it's all just a big old mess. We should talk about some stacks. Yeah.
Sure.
What are your favorite stacks? Then there's not a lot of pitchers to love, so in theory, right, we should like some stacks.
Yeah, so I think the Padres are gonna be the highest owned stack. The Padres and the Astros are probably gonna be the highest owned stacks today. Followed by the Cardinals. I think that my favorite are the Astros, but it's close.
No Altuve.
Right. That's kind of where I was gonna head with that, is because I don't like them nearly as much with Altuve not leading off. But it's tough because Alvarez is back. Like all of a sudden, like he just
his hand's good to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was hurt longer than what they were saying, or maybe the injury was worse than what they said it was, because he was not looking that good for the longest time, and now he seems like he has caught fire. So I have a lot of confidence. Oh, and I do want to touch on actually the Marlins real quick for FanDuel users. Birdie, right? Yeah, I mean, there are some cheap pieces to that stack, and we talked about, Syndergaard is super BABIP dependent. So, if you need a couple fill-in pieces, I don't mind a couple Marlins today.
Okay, just the Marlins cleanup hitter today is Charles LeBlanc.
You got a problem with Charles LeBlanc, Dean?
His brother Matt was a great third baseman in the movie Ed.
All right.
No, he was a pitcher. Ed was the monkey that played third. I don't know if you've seen Ed before. Don't. It's really bad. A monkey was playing in the minor leagues. Yeah, and he a hot corner. They didn't even hide him in the outfield. Yeah. So
I'm just saying you could do a little Birdie, little Garrett Cooper 2-man. I'm not saying you need a full stack though.
I like that. Okay, I'm good with that.
Yeah. I'm not saying play 4 Marlins on FanDuel, but I'm saying you could definitely play 2.
I don't know who is Jordan Groshans. Who's Jordan?
I do not know.
Yeah, he doesn't have much of a sample. He's got 3 at-bats in the majors versus righties this year. But I did want to touch on, and I saw somebody in chat talk about it, as far as this pitcher for Arizona, Dre Jameson, saying how he's got his face fully punched in the minors. He's got an ERA over 6, and he's given up 21 homers. It's worth noting, right? I'm not a minor league expert, but I do know the PCL is known for it's got these cupcake ballparks, and you're in high altitude, and he pitches in Reno. So I imagine it's a severe hitter's ballpark, right?
Right.
I don't know how to quantify that, but he's also one of their prospects, and he's also 4K, and he's throwing baseballs and variants and yada yada. I don't feel great about it. I wouldn't just automatically assume that this guy is going to be a 6 ERA pitcher in the majors. There's a certain degree of you graded a curve in the PCL. So there you go. Do with that what you will.
I think that's a good take, Dean. And it's hard to know how he's going to translate into the major leagues. Obviously, you could go McCullers and pay all the expensive Padres or all the expensive Cardinals or something like that, and just hope you have the best bats. That that's okay, I guess, in a large field setting, but I think it's a stretch.
San Diego, one of the bigger team totals on the board. Cardinals, by the way, we know how the Cardinals just absolutely shellac lefties. They're not facing a lefty, but they're facing Chase Anderson, who's bad, and he's a reverse splits righty, right? So he's vulnerable to righty power, thrown from the right side. Not a great ballpark, but St. Louis does pretty well in that ballpark as is. Pretty standard lineup. Is there anybody missing? I'm taking a glance and trying to see who. Well, I know Carlson's hurt. Donovan, Edman, Goldie, Arenado, Pujols, O'Neill, Alec Burleson, Yachty, and Nootbaar in the St. Louis lineup.
When did they start switching Nootbaar and Edman? Edman was at the bottom, and Nootbaar was at the top, and I like that a lot better.
I don't know if that's new or if that's because it's reverse splits Chase Anderson, to be honest. It's a good question. But no, I think Nootbaar was batting last yesterday also, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe it's a recent thing.
And no Dickerson.
Yeah, he's one of the potential cheapies that you might wanted to use. He did not crack the lineup. We're waiting for San Diego and Arizona, right? We don't have either one of those lineups just yet, unless I missed it. Giving it a refresh.
I believe that's correct.
I like some of the Arizona cheapies, like Luplow and especially Stone Garrett. I like the righty power versus Manaea. I don't know how long Manaea is going to stick around. Ideally, they probably want him to go 5 or so, I'm guessing. But, again, they kicked him out of the rotation for one start. He hasn't started in maybe 15 days or so. Let's see. When was his last start? The 3rd, so 12 days. And he threw an inning against the Dodgers. And the Dodgers just pummeled him. He gave up, 3 homers in less than 5, 8 runs. Before that, KC got him. He's just been, ever since I met him very briefly in Colorado, I put the mush on him.
Come on,
I was at, we went to a game in Coors, and we went to this bar/arcade, old school arcade after the game. And I'm going to name drop. I was there with DC, Draft and Draft Cheat was like, is that Sean Manaea? Just standing right now. I'm like, yeah, that's Sean. He's big dude. He's got distinct hair. You kind of know when it's Sean Manaea, and he's in the city. So I shouldn't say meet him, but we very briefly, hey, there's Sean Manaea. But I put the stench on him though, so my apologies to Sean Manaea. Whatever mush abilities I have, I've sort of passed it on to him. And he's been pretty rough ever since then. Your sneaky stack today. Do you feel like you have to stack? I guess I should ask that because not a ton of games. You can sort of homer hunt if you want to homer hunt, if you want to do it that way. If you want to go 5-3 on DK, you want to go 4-4 on FanDuel. Do you have a general strategy or whatever sort of works when you're building a specific lineup?
I'm a big believer in stacking. Obviously, this slate is kind of small, so I think you could maybe get away from doing a 5-3, but I still want a lot of correlation with my lineups. So I'm always in favor of stacking.
All right. Anything else of note before we kind of go around the horn, give our fair plays position by position? Whatever's on your mind, chat, this is a good time to bring it up. Whatever, if you want to derail the show, something baseball related. I don't know if you're prepared. Actually, we talked on it. You could answer football questions theoretically for Showdown Slate tonight, right? I think you are. Not to put you on the spot, but
yes, I can. Absolutely.
I'm curious. I'm actually curious to get. Yeah, go ahead.
One quick thing is that I really like the Royals tonight. I'm sure they're gonna have some ownership because they have a lot of cheap pieces on both the major sites. But I like, on DK, like Bobby Witt, Sal Perez, and MJ Melendez, they're pretty expensive, so they're gonna be pivots off of like the expensive Astros, the expensive Cardinals, the expensive Padres. And Dylan Bundy is just, I mean, he's pretty awful. And he's another pitcher with traditional reverse splits. And he also has super, super low strikeouts against lefties. So MJ Melendez, like for, I think it's 2,600 on FanDuel, and of course, don't forget about Vinny P. 2,200 bucks on DK. It's just, I really like the Royals today.
How much are you finding that you need to find salary today? Like you need the salary savers because we're not spending up on DeGrom, obviously.
Well, you asked if you had to stack today, but I think more importantly is don't forget you can eat salary today. Like you can eat say $1,000-$1,500 on DraftKings. Like you don't have to round up necessarily with your lineup. Just to play a bizarre one-off that you don't really want to play. I'd rather keep your stat going and be unique and try to get first place in a large field contest.
But you mentioned Melendez, and we can talk about catchers. And what about the reverse splits of Bundy? Would throw Sal Perez at him, and that's a bit of a spend up on DK. What's that?
Right, but but you could always play Melendez in the outfield too.
Oh man, yeah.
I'm just saying that's that type of slate today where you can get him at super super low ownership, and it's a leverage play off of the expensive Padres, the expensive Astros.
Other catchers that are kind of they're kind of standing out for you. Anybody else that's of note? Not a lot of great names, of course. Like James McCann does not excite you. DeLay, I assume, does not excite you. Real Muto for his 97th revenge game versus the Marlins on FanDuel, whatever. Lopez, pretty solid pitcher. Stallings stinks. Yeah,
I think it's the whoever catches for the Padres is probably the best cash game catcher.
I like Kelly, assuming he leads off versus Manaea. I don't trust Manaea. That's it. And
yeah, I'd rather personally I'd rather play Nola or Alfaro, but I completely understand.
Really? Oh
yeah,
man. Okay.
I'm not saying like your take is egregious. I'm just saying I kind of just prefer the team total of the Padres. I prefer the fact that I think that the Padres catchers are going to have a better opportunity to drive runs in.
Yeah, I prefer the guy leading off though versus the guy batting ninth. I know one's home, one the road, but
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying where I put my money, Dean.
I'm just trying to start a really dumb fight.
I don't have to spend your money. You don't have to spend mine. We can just.
You got anything else to say as far as catcher, or shall we jump to first base?
No, we can go to first.
All right, first base. No Hoskins, by the way, for what it's worth, on the Philadelphia lineup for the FanDuel slates. First base, who are some of your favorites this evening?
I completely agree with the bat that Paul Goldschmidt is by far the best raw point player. Probably on the slate, definitely at first base. If you don't have the money, then I like to go down all the way to Vinny P. It's just Josh Bell on FanDuel for 2,800 is a really, really good tournament play. I guess we can play Albert Pujols today.
Sure.
If you don't want to pay up for Paul Goldschmidt, you can go down to Albert Pujols. You could get really unique and play them both on FanDuel and just hope that it's bad Chase Anderson, which there's a really good chance that it's going to be bad Chase Anderson. So I think that going after... What's that?
Bad Chase Anderson's redundant, but yeah.
Right. Yes. Exactly. So it's, and then of course I'm sure Dean will love Christian Walker today.
I do like Walker. Yeah, I think I ranked him higher than everybody else. First base is pretty good. That's sort of like there's kind of an opportunity cost there. Miranda's got a nice price as well too, 3.3K. I like Miranda as just a prospect in general. Walker, again, I want to pick on Manaea on the right hand side. Walker's got what is he like 35 homers this year? Like the quietest 35 home runs. I'm guessing is it 35. That sounds about right.
He's got huge power.
32.
And,
I gave him a few extra.
Yeah.
After tonight, though, 35. Maybe. Probably not.
I don't know about no, Dean. No.
After this weekend, maybe. If you have one big spend, like Goldie is like if this was a normal slate, you probably wouldn't be thinking, oh, Goldie, that's the first guy I'm going to talk about. But you have spots to spend money. If you have one big spend on this slate, is it Goldie at 6.3 on DK? That's a big boy price, but you have the money, I think.
Given the ownership of Soto and Alvarez, which is going to be quite high, they're going to be like 40% owned on FanDuel, and then Goldie's going to be 20%. So given that ownership, I'd prefer to spend it on Goldie.
Let's see. Red's Gal is saying the Pujols ownership seems off. Let's see I'm not sure which site she's referring to. I'm taking a peek what we have, and that might have threw off I'm not sure he was projected to be in or not. And this stuff, the closer we get to lock, the more refined it becomes. So let's see. Where do we have Pujols as far as his ownership? We got 5% on DK, 2.6K. Like the thing is, like you don't necessarily need that many salary savers, so maybe that's one reason why it's 5 a little bit too low.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be that high. Maybe 10.
Yeah, I was thinking like 8, maybe. I don't think that's that far off.
What is he on FanDuel? Now I'm curious. Is he basically he's 3K and the FanDuel ownership is like 3%. Yeah,
he's not as good of a value on FanDuel, so he's gonna be even lower.
And isn't FanDuel kind of almost not exactly, but a pick 'em more or less? As far as Goldie's 4-6 there, but there are some cheap players, and you can make lineups you like outside of the pitchers, maybe pretty easily. Yeah.
It's pretty easy to make a lineup on FanDuel, and I think it's also pretty easy to do it on DK. To be fair, that's why I'm a big fan of eating salary today. You really don't need to use all your salary.
Anything else of note at first base, or do you want to jump to second?
I think we can go to second.
All right, so we're crossing Altuve off the list. Ketel Marte, assuming he cracks the lineup, sure, he's interesting. Cronenworth's pretty cheap on both sites for San Diego against the rookie. I believe this is his MLB debut. I'm pretty sure he's yet to pitch in the majors. I don't think so. It's only not this year, but I don't think he had a couple.
I think it's his debut. I think it's his debut.
Yeah. So second's rough. It's pretty rough these days. You got left on left with Gordon, but he is cheap for what it's worth.
Diaz for the Astros, min price, batting second. He's tri-positional eligible on FanDuel. Obviously it's kind of gross. You might not need the salary, but if you do, he's available at 3 different positions. And Pena, we'll get to it, but like Pena, Diaz, Tucker, Alvarez, it's really easy to get to. It's so easy to get to, but it's also going to be super high owned. Yeah. So it's kind of like, where do you want to be? Like, how are you going to construct the rest of your lineup? If you're going to play those
over Diaz.
What's that?
Maybe skip over Diaz. Like he's versatile. He can stick in multiple positions. He's cheap. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of a way to be different because, like you said, if you're stacking Houston, he's going to be in a lot of Houston stacks, especially, if you're putting him in optimizers, he can play multiple spots, just kind of fill stuff in for you. But he's also like not great. He's fine. Not good.
Yeah, he's
not the worst.
He's not great, but he's priced for not being great, and he's in a really good lineup spot on a really, really strong, like probably one of the best stacks of the night. So he's gonna be he's going to be popular. The whole Astros are going to be popular. So if you're going to roster them, you really need to be contrarian with your other 4 hitters.
Play Mancini instead, or like McCormick instead, or something like that. Obviously, that messes with your lineup construction, but but again, he's 2K, and I know how he makes stuff work. And salary is not precious tonight, but at some point, it's useful. He's probably going to be overowned. It's just sort of the point I'm making. What do we have as far as his ownership? It's probably a reasonably high number. Batting second for one of the more popular offenses against one of the weaker pitchers in all of baseball this season. Is that fair to say?
It looks like 10% on FanDuel.
Yeah, I'll take the over on 10.
I'm going to take the over on that also.
Yeah. And what is he on DK as far as
he's 3,800 on DK, so he's not going to be as popular.
Yeah. And DraftKings, this is what threw me off. So, yeah, he's not second base, shortstop, or third base eligible in DK. DK is outfield only. So that's going to change things as far as his ownership.
Yeah, so that's going to bring his ownership even further down.
Yeah, his ownership number will be higher on FanDuel than it will on DK. That's fair to say, right?
Yes. Yep.
All right.
Brandon Donovan for the Cardinals on DK, second base, third base eligible. I prefer playing him at second. He is definitely in play today at only 3,300 against Chase Anderson, even though I know that Chase Anderson's reverse splits, but it's still, again, it's a really good spot at an affordable price. He is certainly fits in the builds where you go McCullers and Carrasco.
We don't have an Arizona lineup just yet. Brandon's asking about thoughts on Luplow. His ownership seems extremely low. I assume we have him projected to play. Luplow is definitely one of those guys that, can take advantage of lefties, some righty power. He's like 2K on DK, and I like Garrett and Luplow. Just if not necessarily you need the same salary, but I like them as salary savers. If you're going to spend up at somebody like Goldie or Machado or something like that. I'm curious where we're at as far as pinch hit risk on Luplow according to the bat when we get there.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking up right now. It's 36%.
Yeah, okay.
I think Kyle Garlick is gonna get some kind of ownership today.
Same deal.
He's got a 65% pinch hit risk. I tagged him in line HQ, and I just said, how I wanted to keep an eye out for ownership with him because I don't really have any interest in him. I know that he can hit a home run. I know he's cheap, but it's massive pinch hit risk. And it's just not, I don't think it's a good play in tournaments or cash games.
The other thing with Luplow, depending on where he's sitting in the lineup, Manaea is not going to go terribly deep. He's not a guy that's going to throw 105 pitches, as far as I can tell. There's a chance his third at bat would be against a righty. And, if he's batting seventh or eighth, and then he's gone. He only gets 2 at bats. That's possible. I try not to be paranoid about these things. What's that?
It's totally possible. If you want exposure to the Diamondbacks, go with Marte or go with Walker or Kelly. I don't think Luplow is going to be a very good play today.
Yeah. And then we say that, and then of course he can homer in the second inning, and who cares what he does after that, right? But that's just how this game goes sometimes. I felt better about Garrett. I think they would keep the prospect out there, get him some reps no matter what's happening as far as the pitcher. There's no reason, I don't think, for them to pinch hit from Garrett. And I don't know, they're probably not going to start their other prospect left on left, and maybe he comes in. We'll see. I guess we'll just kind of wait and see what their lineup is, but I'm expecting Luplow to start for what it's worth. You got anything else with second base?
Well, John, I know we already talked about it, but John Birdie, is a really good punt at second base also for 2,600. I think that I'm highly considering playing him in my single entry team tonight. I'm not completely 100% yet, but he is certainly someone I'm considering.
He gets a walk. He probably swipes 2 bags, and that's a home run, right? Especially if he scores. That's a
That was the other thing. I wonder if there's any line out there to see if he can get multiple stolen bases tonight.
Yeah,
Like
he'll take third,
right. Instead of just betting the 1 for plus 110, if there's something better if he gets 2.
It's a good thought because if he gets 1, he's got a good shot of getting 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jump to third base. Crunch Time Crew, again, coming in early, 15-ish minutes or so, because the FanDuel slate starts at 6:40. DK starts 7:20. They'll take you guys up to the FanDuel lock. There's more questions. There's more to talk about. They'll go beyond that as well. There is a Showdown football slate show as well. I believe it's the Luch and Keith. I believe that's correct. 45 minutes before lock. And again, if we have time, we're happy to answer some football questions. And I have a few questions for you as well as far as this Kansas City Chargers game, which should be spectacular tonight. But hit me up as far as third base.
Third base is absolutely loaded, and this is definitely a position that I wouldn't be goofing around trying to find value. I think it's got to be, Manny, Bregman, or Nolan Arenado. Those would be the 3 guys that I would be rotating in and out of my GPP lineups. I can't say definitively who I'm going to be rostering tonight, but it's going to be one of those 3 guys. It's not going to be a position I'm looking for value. So it's really, I'm trying to think of somebody else at third that I would even consider rostering, and I can't really. I don't even think there's anybody else.
Curtin Chat wants to know, what is the bat favorite? Does it favor Carrasco or McCullers? McCullers, not a huge gap. It's McCullers. Slight favorite, and the bat's probably going to tell you.
It's not as big of a favorite as you'd think it would be, considering he's projected to throw 18 more pitches.
Yeah, but we know how inefficient McCullers can be.
Yes.
So his 18 pitches could be 2 hitters sometimes. He's frustrating to watch, but when he's on, he's great. His curveball is just incredible, but sometimes he just doesn't throw strikes, and that could be a problem. Reds Gal is talking about tempted to fading the high-owned pitcher. Every slate's different, but the problem with this one is, okay, you're going to fade the high-owned pitcher for another high-owned pitcher. You're not going to fade McCullers for Kaprelian, I don't think. You're going to fade him for Carrasco, who's also going to get ownership, or Miklos is also going to get ownership. I guess you can start getting into the world of Lynch or Brubaker, but none of it's uncomfortable. It's different degrees of uncomfortable. So, it's not great, but we're all playing with the same slate. What do you got as far as shortstop?
I really like Bobby Witt today. I know the bat does too. I really like Jeremy Pena on FanDuel for 2,600. It's just going to be, they're just going to be so popular over there. It's Carlos Correa would be the one Twin that I would play today. I'm not high on the Twins at all. I'm pretty high on Daniel Lynch personally, but I think Correa is okay for a one-off. Lindor is 6,100 on DK. His ownership should be quite small, so he's a good contrarian pay-up option. Shortstop is pretty thin today on DK, especially.
There's no great price, right? Even
right.
Pena leading off is 4.6. I think he's in the mid-2s on FanDuel, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's 26 on FanDuel.
I love O'Neal Cruz as if you want to call that a leverage play, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ballpark stinks, but when he gets a hold of it, it doesn't matter what ballpark it is in. His power is, and just the ball. Have you seen the ball jumps off his bat different than anybody else, man? Almost like Stanton.
That's a really good call, Dean. That's really sharp. I'm glad that you mentioned him. I should have.
Yeah, I mean, he might. I think yesterday he went 1 for 5 with 4 strikeouts and a homer. That's what he is right now. That's the guy he is. But
but I mean, he's a really quality power bat that's going to be super super low owned. So I think that's a really good way to get different today.
He might grab more ownership on FanDuel. I think he's $3K over there, if I'm not mistaken.
He's 31. He's 3,100 on FanDuel. I don't think he's going to carry any ownership anywhere.
Okay, I'll play him then.
Yeah.
I'm okay playing him at no ownership on a small slate.
Yeah. I think he makes for a really good one-off.
How about this? I'll play him in the same lineup I play Carrasco. I don't care. I'm okay with that.
I don't think you need to do that. I think you're already different enough.
I'm not forcing it, but I'm okay with it, is what I'm saying.
I guess.
They both can be good tonight, relatively speaking.
Yep.
Yeah. In chat, Shannon said Jamison had 10K plus games last year. I just wanted to point it out because there's an affiliate named. I love the minor league team names. The Sod Poodles, the Amarillo Sod Poodles. I love the random names for it's apparently a AA affiliate of the Diamondbacks. So there you go. Which I guess he's in AAA in Reno, which I'm not sure what the Reno affiliate's called. But yeah, and that I'd imagine is a better pitching ballpark than whatever the Reno Aces there in Nevada. We knocked out shortstop, right? Let's talk about outfield.
Juan Soto and Yordan Alvarez are going to be both super, super chalk today, especially Juan Soto, who's under 5K on DK and he's under 4K on Fanduel. That's really all about what you want to do in terms of ownership. I cannot say not to play them because they're clearly the two best options today. You're just going to be eating a ton of ownership if you do. I would rather play Alvarez than Soto if I could only pick one, but it's obvious that, they're both in really good spots. Go ahead, Dean.
I was just going to let the chat know if you have any questions, feel free to fire them off. We're going to yield to the crunch time crew in about 10 minutes or so. If you have any questions as far as the showdown slate at Kansas City and Chargers, I'm going to ask them. So I'm going to ask some on their behalf, on my behalf as well. And I was just going to say, I hate to be like the dumb, like this is such a dumb way of looking at things and game log guy or whatever. But when was the last time you said, man, I wish I did not fade Juan Soto. Man, I can't believe I didn't play Juan Soto. I was going to play him and he crushed. Like he walks a lot, which, I guess that's good for baseball, real life, I suppose. But like, he's not been great. Can we just acknowledge? And like, is that small sample stuff? And maybe I'm just making a lot about nothing. But
we said that same thing. We said that same thing about Yordan Alvarez, and now all of a sudden he's just like, it's like home run derby.
Well, he had a hand.
I know, but I mean, baseball's so fluky. Like, you can't predict, cold streaks and hot streaks. And I know I sound like Cardi, but it's true. Like you just can't predict that. And we know that Soto is one of the best hitters in all of baseball. Yeah. And if that logic, like you just said, is carrying through the industry, it might bring his ownership down, which makes him an even better play.
I know, like he's popping out, and if you're running stuff, he's popping up in all sorts of lineups. Like, so yeah, the models like him, and I understand why they like him. And again, it's just it's that dumb guy on the couch thought, and maybe it's just stupid because who cares about 20 games? But he does walk a lot, which if you roster Soto, are you rooting for a walk? No, you'll take the 2 points as opposed to a pop up.
I also hate how he, he takes the ball the other way, which is amazing for like your real life team, but you don't want him to have a single to left field, So I mean, he's just such a good hitter that sometimes he doesn't have the ceiling that other guys do.
I'm with Big Show Brandon in the chat. I like Juan Soto a lot, but he says that Mike Williams, that's the play, right? Because speaking of not looking at game logs, and Mike Williams cost your boy some money last week. That was one of my bigger positions. But I think a lot of people were around Mike Williams. He was on the field. There was a proof of life, but not really so much in the box score. Do you like Mike Williams this evening?
See, I like Austin Eckler. I think that you're not going to see Herbert to be able to throw the ball deep downfield. I think it's going to be short, intermediate routes that are going to be successful for the Chargers tonight. So it's going to be guys like Everett and Eckler. Those are my two takes tonight.
Everett's expensive on DK, 7.2. That feels kind of expensive, no?
He's 4,800 at flex.
Oh, is that do I have the wrong prices on?
Maybe
Yeah.
you have captain up or
Why does it give me the captain prices? I don't want the captain. I'm like, why does everybody look so expensive?
yeah.
I'm paying hurricane prices here. I'm getting price gouged.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
That's just my take, though. Obviously, Mike Williams is going to get the majority of the target share, but I don't think it's going to be successful. I think it's going to be Herbert's going to be doing checkdowns and short passes to Everett. So I really like Eckler tonight at captain.
Who's your favorite? Like, I was thinking like one of to open stuff up. I was thinking maybe McKinnon at captain, or like Palmer at captain. Again, like just obviously I understand they're not the best plays, but if they open up things up and now all of a sudden I can get both quarterbacks and one of the key pieces as far as their weapons. Who's your favorite cheapie is what I'm asking.
My favorite cheapie is I believe his name is Trey McKitty, $400 for the Chargers.
Okay.
He played 40% of the snaps last week, and he opens everything up for you. So I might be rostering him in my single entry lineup tonight.
What about Gray on the other side? Doesn't Gray kind of get worked into the office to some extent, or is he more like just on the goal line? To be clear, by the way, I did not do content for this. It's not like I'm just like I'm not pumping any content for that. I'm playing the site. I'm playing the slate, but I'm not somebody that's on premium for this. You did, and that's why I'm asking questions. That might be a dumb question, but
I'm not on him. But like I said earlier on my show with Eric Beimfor, is that you always have to embrace the variance with those cheapo guys if you want to like actually solo ship the large field GPPs. So, I wouldn't play him in like a single entry or 3 max, but if you're 150 maxing, it's you can really play whoever you want down at that bottom end because it's that random touchdown that
he can get one catch for 2 yards and a touchdown, and that's fine. That's great.
Right. Yeah. I'm just so hesitant to ever tell somebody they can't play somebody in Showdown because you could cost them $1 million or $250K or whatever it is.
Well, Showdown content's always the weirdest thing because all you're doing is just like contradicting yourself. It's like, well, like Mahomes is really good at football, and so is Travis Kelce. So you're not supposed to play them. It's like,
right, yeah,
that's what everybody else is doing.
It's just tough because there's also, just like in any other setting, you don't know if you're talking to somebody who's making 3 lineups, 15 lineups, 1 lineup. So because Showdown is just so kind of catered to people that build more lineups, I think. And it's just, you use that edge to your advantage by spreading out at the bottom of some of those, really, really cheap players.
And you got to summon your inner blender. This is truly with the Showdown. It's lineups. It's not players. Of course you can play Mahomes, and of course you can play Kelce, right? And like you said, it depends how many lineups you're playing. It depends what contest you're playing. If you're playing the contest that has like 50,000 entries in it, and you're shooting for 40% or 20% up top, you got to be a little goofier in that, as opposed to you're playing in the 500 man or 1,000 man stuff that we kind of centralize in, where you don't necessarily have to be as far up the reservation and all that stuff. There's a lot of factors that sometimes you just don't have time to get into, and you have to give a concise answer. This guy or that guy. That's it. I don't want anything else to work with. But you like Herbert or Mahomes?
Right, and I think the biggest thing is, what are your goals as a fantasy player?
Yeah,
do you want to win all the money, or are you happy with them in cash? I know that I base a lot of my bankroll on just on cash rate, not necessarily winning all the money.
Yeah.
So, but some people don't want to do that, and that's okay. I think that's part of what makes DFS so fun, is that you can have different goals about what you want to do with your lineup.
You could theoretically cash 5% of the time and be profitable, and cash 25% of the time and not be profitable.
Correct.
Like, it's an interesting conversation to be had for sure. Crunch Time Crew should be coming in soon. Give me some homers. Who's going to bang out some home runs tonight? Or you want to give me some touchdowns or whatever you want to give me?
I like MJ Melendez and Bobby Witt as my home run calls. and I'm going to go with Trey McKitty as a random low-owned touchdown. And I just love his last name. I love his last name, too. I mean, that's a great McKitty.
I don't know who McKitty is, but I'm interested.
It's McKitty. McKitty.
Was he a good college tight end? Let's see. I'm checking out his player profiler, who his comp is. Yeah, I'm just learning of this person's existence. They're a rookie, I assume, yes?
I believe so.
Best comp, according to playerprofiler.com, is Jordan Akins. Let's see. When was this person drafted? 2021, a third round. Wait, 33rd pick in the third round? Does that make sense? That doesn't make sense, does it? Was there 33 picks in the third round? Am I reading this wrong? There's only 32 teams, right? Did I miss something? Was there an expansion game that I missed?
Pretty sure there's only 32 teams.
I don't know what's going on. I got to carry the one or something. Yo, it's chief meteorologist Kevin Roth. Roth, you excited about football tonight?
Yeah, I haven't gotten to actually watch football in ages, but I'm gonna try tonight. So we'll see. Fingers crossed.
It might just be Amazon only. I don't know if you have access to the Amazon. This might be an Amazon exclusive, or maybe I'm wrong. I know I'm so confused where all the games are this year. They're all over the place. But
yeah, every Thursday night is Amazon Prime only. Prime
there
Video.
You got the Amazon
okay
Prime in the Cards household?
Yes, we do. So that is mainly for my wife's shopping and not for football, but we'll take the secondary benefit here.
Can we just all agree that like it really is the craziest thing in the world that the most popular sport by far, it's nearly impossible to figure out how to watch it, even if you're willing to pay for it. It's crazy.
All you need is 26 different subscriptions and you can see every game, unless you're within a 50-mile radius of one of the teams.
At any minute, just decide, I'm willing to pay $40 to watch this game right now. You can't just do it. Like, it's crazy.
I felt the same way I was trying to watch the Masters like live. It's incredibly difficult. It's not on TV. You got to download a Masters app. And even then, it's ridiculous. Just let me watch.
The Masters app is absolutely fantastic. Do not disparage the Masters.
Why do I have to have a Masters app?
The Masters app is fantastic.
Well, Cards, on behalf of the golf guys, I'm not a golf guy, but I know you are. And the people on Twitter are always, is it Shot Tracker that's a disaster?
Yes. Yeah, it usually doesn't work. 95% of the time, something is not functioning correctly.
The Masters app is one of the best sports apps I've ever used.
Let me also jump in and ask Tim, when did you shave last?
I'm
gonna guess. Let me guess first. 45 minutes ago is my guess.
It's pretty close. It's pretty close.
Like, are you really? Are you one of those like you pretty much just have to have a beard because it just comes back?
Well, you told me I had a face that looked like I needed a hot shave. So I went out and got one.
And you look freaking fantastic regardless. I feel like you may have gotten the hot shave minutes ago and it's already like you feel great and it's coming back.
Right before I started the show with Dean. And now here I am.
And I shaved like 3 days ago. He's just showing me.
Right.
How much more manly is he than me?
just feel like you guys probably shaved last at the same time. Is what I think happened. But you both look fantastic.
Tim, we talked about this off air, I believe it. It's a callback to a previous show where I was talking about the hot shave, like when you're getting a haircut in the back of the neck. I don't know if Cards was there or not, but like Roth and Dave they had no clue what I was talking about. Thought I was making it up. You got a barbershop, Cards, right, in the area? You've been to a barbershop before?
I have, yes.
Did you ever get like the hot shaving cream in the back of the neck with the straight razor?
No.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, I'll just
they're amazing.
Tim, you can vouch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is on my list now. Like it will be happening sometime before next baseball season.
Dave, I'm going to go on Yelp or something and find the best place with the best reviews for hot shave in Auburn, and I'll send it your way.
Excellent.
I want a full report.
It will definitely happen.
We got anything else, Tim, for the boys? We'll make way for the crunch time crew. You guys got, you got plenty of time to fill. 25 minutes.
Take your time.
I've been stretching for the last 20 minutes or so. I don't know how much of the show you're listening to. But, Tim, you got anything else for the boys, or we're stepping aside and we're making way for the Fanduel sponsor crunch time?
No, I think we're good. Thanks, Dean.
Yeah. Oh, we never begged or groveled or asked, so it's probably really low. But please, kindly hit that like button, do subscribe, turn on those notifications. Roth is going to give you a lecture now. Like if we don't get enough likes, this show is just going to go away. It's going to be gone. Myself and Tim, we're going to step. Well, we're definitely going to be gone. But the rest of the show is going to be there. Myself and Tim, we're stepping aside, making a way for crunch time with STL cards. You got Dave Potts. Later on is a Showdown slate content as well too. If you guys want to tune in for that, that's 45 minutes before lock. But for now, we're talking baseball with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Roth, go for it.
Good stuff as always, Dino and the crew. Thank you guys. Welcome to it. It is indeed crunch time. It is indeed sponsored by FanDuel, and I will indeed give you the lecture. If we don't get likes, then the show's just not going to be free anymore. That's it. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I'm sticking to. So go ahead, make sure you're liking that show on YouTube. Your like is the payment. Other places make you pay. Here, you just got to hit the like button. It's the easiest payment you can make. By the way, worth noting here, sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook. If you're in a legal sports betting state, take advantage of that no sweat first bet up to $1K. Terms and conditions apply. Check out rotogrinders.com/reviews for more info. But for more info, we go to two of the sharpest minds in the biz. One, it's Mr. Dave Potts, a.k.a. Cheese is Good. How are you, Cheese?
I am doing great. Ask me after we finish everything about the Pringles, and I'll tell you what I'm looking for tonight. Yeah.
Okay, I'm making a note right now on this
It's
traffic
it's
ticket.
complete nonsense, and yet I feel I need to share.
Pringles. Okay. Noted.
You got to ask Dave about the Pringles, and you got to ask me for my trivia question, but we got to get through FanDuel lock first. So
yeah,
we'll get to the trivia and the Pringles after the FanDuel lock.
So I feel like I need to have something to contribute. I don't, but I'm excited for Pringles and trivia. We got STL cards as well. Cards, how are you doing?
I am doing great. It's a fun little Thursday here, and we've got a manageable slate to get through, and still some interesting talking points, though. So, and then we've got football later on whatever platform it may be streaming on. We can watch it later.
And I think it's maybe in two places. Is that incorrect? That it's
I think they're streaming it on Amazon Video and then also on Twitch for the crowd that is more hip than I.
Oh yeah, no. I thought that the second one was going to be easier than Prime Video, but no, that's I don't. That's way harder. I'm not familiar with that. Okay, guys. Well, let's talk some baseball here. There is one mild weather concern, but Cheese, you already know what I'm going to say about it. So why don't you just say what I'm going to say about Minnesota?
Yeah, it's probably going to be fine. You just play what you're going to play.
That's it. Yeah, that's like there is a risk of a delay, but I think I know the majority of the rain misses to the northwest, and I think that any rain that they see in Minnesota is probably light enough to play through. I just don't think the risk is high enough that you should do anything about it. Like, I'll stress about it a little bit, but I think you should just play it. It's probably going to be fine. Play whoever you want to play. Yeah, we've been working together long enough. Cheese he's got it down there. So with that out of the way, let's talk about this slate a little bit. Cheese, what do you got for me?
All right. So basically, no pitching, which leads to honestly an eerily similar thing as last night with David Peterson chalk. It really that was the most disastrous chalk ever.
You said it was weird chalk, but I didn't know it was going to be worst chalk.
Right. I mean, you're never going to project a worst start of a guy's career, but that's what we had. But tonight it's because there's three guys, so it's not like the one guy is chalk, but it's similar. It's weird chalk. These are not great pitchers, but it's all we have. We don't even have the Corbin Burns tonight for an unnecessary spend up. Right. We've got Lance McCullers, Carlos Carrasco, Miles Mikolas. Like, these are not great pitchers. In fact, by the numbers, all three are worse than David Peterson, just plain skills wise. But it's the same thing. Like, they're good-ish, and the matchups are good. They're facing Oakland, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati. Those three. They should be fine. Like, it's very unlikely that any of them puts up a negative. But we would have all said that last night about Peterson too. The problem is there's just nothing else here, and they're not expensive because they're not good. Like, neither site has a 10K pitcher. I think McCullers is probably the chalk and the go-to guy. He's been kind of real life good, and his pitch count's finally up to normal. Theoretically, there should be more upside in his skill set based on his past history. But he's a guy with terrible control, and his velocity is a little bit down from usual. and he sometimes he just walks everybody, that's all that happened to Peterson last night. Is he walked the first 3 batters, and if you're not good, you can't really recover from that. And that's a McCullers kind of thing. I'm not projecting that. I think he'll be fine. But out of McCullers, Carrasco, Mikolas, I can't like any of them enough to be just, this is the guy I'm all in on. So I am straight up 30-30-30 on those guys. With on FanDuel, you can add Pablo Lopez and kind of Noah Syndergaard in there. Personally, I'm not playing Syndergaard. I would rather play JT Brubaker than Syndergaard in a tougher matchup, just because I think he's a little better. But you don't need to go any cheaper on FanDuel. And I think let's just kind of get through FanDuel, and then we'll go back, I guess, and touch on the DK stuff.
Sure. Okay. Then Cards, what are you doing on FanDuel?
Yeah, not much to add. I mean, I do like McCullers and Carrasco, I guess, for a slightly more upside than Mikolas. Mikolas doesn't strike a lot of guys out, but the Reds that lineup's pretty watered down these days, and the Cardinals are big favorites. So I can understand using Mikolas. He's pretty safe. Otherwise, I'm probably McCullers and Carrasco, a little heavier on them. Agree with Lopez on FanDuel, and not a whole lot of interest in Syndergaard. Daniel Lynch against what has become kind of a watered down Minnesota lineup might get a little buzz, but it's not necessary on FanDuel, where you only get the one pitcher. You know, Manaea hasn't been pitching very well, and seems a little overpriced. So you just get to Lopez in that range. Brubaker, I'm intrigued by the skill sets. Probably not using him against the Mets though. So really not much to add at pitcher. It's a pretty ugly slate.
Okay, well then let's talk about the stacks. Certainly, there's something better there. Cards?
Yeah, the offense is a little better for sure. San Diego would be my preferred offense. I am a little worried about the Cardinals tonight after the record-setting Molina, Wainwright. Everybody partied after the game last night. It just feels like a game where the Cardinals might come out flat. That's more of a perception thing than a numbers thing. I mean, numbers-wise, they're going to grade out real well. But I prefer San Diego a little bit tonight. I probably prefer Houston a little bit as well. I think those are the top 2 offenses. You know, if you like the Cardinals, that's fine. Throw them in there. My off-the-board team would be Kansas City.
Okay. Cheese, what are you doing stack-wise?
Yeah, that's a very clear top 3 of Padres, Astros, Cardinals, and that's where the chalk will congregate. And then I think both sides of that Royals-Twins game are next. That's also what I like to get off of that trio of chalk. I like the Royals and the Twins really just as much as those top 3.
So we're not too worried about pitchers there in Minnesota then, if you like the stacks.
I'm not using those pitchers anyway.
Great. Okay, that makes me feel better because I mean bats are 100% fine and pitchers are like 98, so that makes me feel great. Okay, well then let's go position by position. You want to just focus on FanDuel still, Cheese?
Yeah, let's get that over with, and that'll lock in like 15 minutes here.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, then start us off with a little catcher talk.
So, yeah, we'll just put catcher and first base together and do the FanDuel thing. But we do have catchers. The Royals catchers / first baseman. Sal Perez is one of my favorite plays on the slate, and Melendez is very cheap on FanDuel, along with actually 2 Royals first basemen and a cheap Jose Miranda. So while we're saying Cardinals, Astros, Padres are chalk, I think FanDuel first base, it's actually that Minnesota Royals game that gets, sadly, a lot of attention because Goldschmidt would be the top play, but he is super expensive, $4,600. If I have money, I'm playing Goldschmidt. But I really do like those Royals along with Miranda as much as anybody. And I also like Christian Walker a ton. So this is the position where I'm not playing those chalk offenses.
Okay. Does that include Vinny Parmigiana? Because I see he's got.
Yeah. Yep. So Melendez, Perez, and Pasquantino, 3 Royals, are all really good and really cheap. Perez isn't cheap, but cheap-ish. And I really like all of them, along with Miranda and Walker. Great.
Cards, anything you see differently there?
Yeah, no, those are the strong plays. I like the Royals here as well. Goldschmidt for, a spend up is fine. Josh Bell would be the other guy I'd throw in there. The Padres are my favorite offense, and it seems like everybody likes them tonight. But it could also be another one of those circumstances, particularly on FanDuel, because that slate locks in 15 minutes and we don't have their lineup yet, could serve to lower their ownership at least a little bit. So as long as you're checking for their lineup and there's no surprise scratches tonight, I mean, it's all systems go. So Josh Bell, I'd throw in the mix as well.
Great. Take me to second.
So second base is really interesting because the one thing on FanDuel, the one thing about Noah Syndergaard is that he can't hold runners. Guys, basically anybody with any reasonable speed gets on base against Noah Syndergaard, they're stealing second and potentially third base. And before he got injured, John Birdie was leading the league in steals. He might still be leading the league in steals, even though he missed time because he just had that big of a lead over the rest of the league, and we don't see a ton of steals these days. But Syndergaard is the exception. So Birdie on FanDuel, he's only 2,600. He's leading off, and if he gets on base, you're getting a steal. You're getting maybe 2 steals every time he gets on base against Syndergaard. If he doesn't get on base, that's a problem. But at 2,600, I'll take my chances. If you don't want to take your chances on that, or you're just going to hedge, that he's not going to get on base, you're looking somewhere different in tournaments. I think Massey for the Royals, another cheap Royal you could target, and Cronenworth for the Padres. I think this is a spot where you don't need to spend top dollar on FanDuel tonight.
Okay, and just FYI, Birdie is still leading the league in stolen bases.
That's crazy. He missed quite a bit of time.
Yeah, 3 more over the second place guy, Cedric Mullins, and he has played 54 less games.
So how many steals does he have? 30-some? He's got to be 30-some.
34, yeah.
Yeah.
So pretty good there. All right, Cheese, what do you like? Sorry.
Second.
Yeah.
Second.
Cheese, what do you like at second? Sorry.
Yeah, so since Altuve is out of the lineup tonight, this is a great position to not spend any money. Edman and Donovan for St. Louis are fine, but really kind of only guys you want in the stacks anyway. So agree with Birdie on FanDuel. Cronenworth for 3K. Ketel Marte. I think that lineup just came out, and he's batting second. So he's a great play along with Massey. So save your money at second and go with that little group.
Okay, very nice. Take me to third.
Reasonable spend ups with Arenado and Bregman, but not like things you just have to have on their own. Same with Machado. Like I really like all 3 of those guys, and you are going to run into you're going to have salary. There's so many savers everywhere. So I think Arenado and Machado are the 2, and that's kind of where I want to spend. I love Bobby Witt, but you play him at shortstop. Birdie is here, but you play him at second. Jose Miranda, maybe you play him at third in some lineups. And I also kind of like Rivera as a cheap guy. But really, you're going to have some salary, and I think this is a pretty good place to spend it with Arenado and Machado being my 2 favorites.
Okay, Cards, third.
Yeah, totally agree. Tough call for me between those 2 guys at the top. Really, and Cheese will mention this from time to time, but an interesting way to differentiate your lineups would be to do maybe a Padres stack, but then put Arenado instead of Machado in there, or a Cardinals stack and put Machado instead of Arenado. So an interesting way to maybe build some stacks tonight while still getting upside at that position. Bobby Witt is either shortstop or third base on FanDuel. Basically, most of the spend ups, I mean, even Bregman as well, are the guys that I like here. 2K, Aledmus Diaz is fine, but I'd probably play him at second if you're going to play him. Urshela is fine too, but you could roster 2 third basemen if you want one of those spend up guys. Plus, use the multi-position eligibility or utility spot on FanDuel, and Urshela at 2,600 is a nice value, but I think you got to get at least one of the spend up guys here.
Okay, excellent. Then take me to short.
Yeah, shortstop is a little bit weaker. So again, some of the multi-position eligibility guys, Diaz, Edman, Witt, you can play them here. Otherwise, I think you're just between either going up with Lindor or Correa. I prefer Correa, or you also have Jeremy Pena at 2,600. And O'Neal Cruz, I think, is interesting as well as a tournament play if you are if you're not on Carrasco. Not that I'm stacking the Pirates at all, but Cruz has shown quite a bit of life in his bat and pretty good bat speed. So I don't mind him as a one-off play.
Okay, very good. Cheese, what do you like at short?
For me, Correa and Witt really steal the show. Like to me, they're a tier ahead of everyone. I mean, Lindor is fine, but to me, I would much rather play Correa or Witt or save money with Pena. And I will say, since Cards mentioned Cruz, I think it's viable on this slate to play a batter against a pitcher. Because none of these pitchers are we're not playing for some, perfect game with any of these pitchers. So a guy like Carrasco, pitches 6 decent innings, gives up a solo homer to Cruz, and then he hits another one off the bullpen. That's the kind of thing I would do on this slate.
Okay, excellent. How about the outfield?
So there's not a lot that you have to spend up on, and they're really not that priced up on FanDuel. Like Alvarez and Harper are at $4K. Soto at 38. Along with, we're still waiting on the San Diego lineup, I think. If Profar is at the top, Soto and Profar will probably be the chalk Padres. And I think Harper will be the kind of the overlooked spend up because people would rather play those Astros. Both Schwarber and Harper are guys you can like, even if not liking that game in general. But if you're picking one guy for like a cash game, optimal lineup kind of build, it would be Soto. And then if you need a little savings, I think O'Neill or Schwarber are as okay as Alvarez, Tucker, Harper. If you need those few extra bucks, the salary savers they're not that super necessary. But I mentioned Profar. I think he's the chalk sort of cash game salary saver. Grisham as well for San Diego. And then it's all just kind of tournament stuff in stat kind of stuff. I don't love anything in the outfield outside of those very obvious names.
Okay. Cards, what are you doing in the outfield?
Yeah, it does fall off a cliff in a hurry. I think your top options are the guys that Cheese mentioned, and that gives you maybe 7 or 8 guys to kind of choose from and build your cash game lineups around. And then, you can always do some contrarian stuff with like a Brian Reynolds or some of the Reds. Like Michaelis doesn't strike a lot of guys out. So let's see who they got. They like Fraley or somebody. Fraley's hitting cleanup for the Reds tonight.
You do the Fraley versus Michaelis, the same idea as the Cruz versus Carrasco. Like you can play them together.
Yeah. I mean, he's 2,700 on FanDuel. So Grisham will probably be the forgotten Padre, especially if he hits like 8th or 9th. Again, that lineup's not out yet, so another way to differentiate your Padres stacks could be to play Grisham instead of Profar, even though it's not going to, grade out the best projection-wise. I mean, it's 1 at bat probably and about 0.6 of a fantasy point difference, it looks like, in projection. So it is a way to, maybe get a guy at a quarter of the ownership as part of your stack.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to add here? We got 5 minutes or so, I believe, right? Is it
6:40 is FanDuel lock?
Right. All right. So we got about 5 minutes here until FanDuel lock. I'm going to take some FanDuel questions. If we run out of those, then we'll just jump into DK. Does that sound good?
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's start with the side here in the old Discord. FanDuel Cash, Cheese, Bregman and Vinny P, or Schwarbs and Pena?
I would Bregman and Vinny P on that one.
Very nice. Okay, I am pulling up the YouTube chat, seeing if we've got some questions waiting in the wings there. So give me 1 second to get that up and going here. All right, let's see what we got from the YouTubes here. Okay, honestly, we got essentially nothing, which means we're talking some DK. So, Cheese, how do you want to lead this conversation off?
All right. Well, let's just jump to the DK pitching is a little bit different. So we'll just kind of take the pitching on its own.
Okay.
So we talked about those top 3 guys they're the best we have tonight. It's weird chalk, but it's all you have. McCullers, Carrasco, Michaelis. McCullers will be the chalky guy here. Let me refresh and see if the ownership projections come up. In most lineups, I would just play 2 of those 3 guys, regardless of the fact that they're not great. Like, they're also not expensive and you have salary. I would just say, I would order them like that. McCullers, Carrasco, Michaelis. And that's also how the ownership will go. But I'm not among those three guys, playing the ownership game is kind of silly because they're all going to be over 40%.
Mm-hmm.
You can get different with some mid-range guys. Maybe Manaea is fine, and he bounces back tonight. Like, he's definitely been more unlucky than bad. He's not really pitching that different than ever. He's been like BABIP'd around, and the home run fly ball rate's been crazy high. But compared to those top guys, this is a tough matchup. Same for Brubaker. Like, the reason they're cheaper and projecting lower is like those top three have really good matchups, and those two have really tough matchups. So personally, I would rather just pay $4K for a rookie who probably gets not shelled, but probably hit. Like, you're saying, it's this guy, Dre Jameson, he's not a great prospect. He was not a great AAA pitcher. He's just a guy who is on the mound, but he's $4K on a slate with no good pitching. I would be totally happy with 5 DraftKings points. Like, all you need is him not to get completely shelled, and it's probably fine at 4K. So personally, I would rather play him than Daniel Lynch or Dylan Bundy, who we know for sure that they're not good. Like, he is also probably not good, and there's a little more risk because it's the Padres. But again, he's 4K, and if none of these pitchers are scoring more than 18 points, then, I mean, as we say, Kevin, whoop-de-doo. If he gives you 5 points, we'll take it.
Whoop-de-doo. Okay, that's great. Cards, are you interested in this guy that's 4K but is probably going to get shelled, but whoop-de-doo might get shelled?
I mean, I've got like 70% of lineups with the opposing offense, so I can't play the 4K pitcher. I hope he gets shelled. So I understand the logic, but I like the Padres offense and it's not a bigger slate, to where I just can't play too much of the Cardinals tonight. I think they're going to come out flat, and there's not a lot of other offense, so I'm on the Padres, and that's just going to be what it is. I have literally nothing to add on those pitchers. Okay. We've kind of beaten the drum on the fact that they're not great, and there's not probably going to be a huge, massive score out there tonight. And if you're looking for safety, you play one of the top 3 guys.
Okay. Cheese, how do you want to go about this here? Do we need to go through DK or no? Like position by position?
Let's kind of talk big picture at a few different salary savers. Like, the players are all the same, minus those couple of St. Louis bats that you were playing. So you don't have John Birdie, and you don't have Harper and Schwarber. Those are the only guys we even mentioned as plays. The difference is, so Goldschmidt and Alvarez in particular, and Arenado really are priced way up.
Look at that Goldie price, 6.3.
Yeah. Whereas Soto is going to be more chalky on DK, because you look at that price difference. He's as good a play as Alvarez and Goldschmidt, and he's more than $1,000 less. So I think he's going to be more chalky. And it's the same thing with Jerks and Profar. Like, these Padres, I think, because they're cheaper on DK, and you get a little extra time to wait for the lineup, probably a little more popular here. And then things like the Vinny P, this 2,200 is way more useful on DK. On FanDuel, you can take the salary, but you don't really need it. But that kind of thing, and even Jose Miranda, like, those salaries are way more useful on DK. Also, I'm going to phrase the question this way a bit, and then we'll get to why I'm mentioning it on DK. But I just want to ask our friend Kevin Roth a question. You know how the way DFS works, the best players are priced the highest. That's why Aaron Judge is expensive. The worst players are priced lowest. Who would you think in the outfield today would be the highest priced outfielder on Yahoo? Highest price.
I don't know who's playing, but if a guy like Aaron Judge or Trout is playing, I think it'd be someone like that.
Yeah. So tonight, you might guess Alvarez or Soto or Tucker, something, right?
All of those guys, yeah.
Right.
Probably Yordan would have been my pick.
Yeah, it would be Stone Garrett.
Our boy Stone Garrett,
number 1 highest price.
Our boy did it
because he's the best.
I'm not even mad at them for that. I
Right.
mean, they're projecting the future, Cheese.
And he's leading off because Arizona figured it out. Oh, he's the best player in America. So he's leading off tonight. He's 2,400 on DK.
Wow.
And
That is a
you
big
guys know
difference
I
in-
like him. And it's not some joke with the name. Like, I really like him. He's good.
Yeah.
He is, and Yahoo adjusts pricing quicker than any other site.
Mm-hmm.
And DK prices the slowest now. FanDuel's in the middle. So Stone Garrett
Yeah, and
is too
Yahoo
cheap on DK.
Yahoo over adjusts.
Right. Yeah.
to
I think
these.
FanDuel is actually the best at the pricing. Yahoo goes too far. DK doesn't go far enough. FanDuel is really the best with it, but he is too cheap on DK now.
How does he not have all the tags on DK? He's 2-4. That's absurd.
Because nobody's playing Arizona. And, he wasn't projected to hit leadoff. If he'd been projected all day as leadoff, he'd be more popular.
Gotcha.
But I like him a lot. I also I mentioned Christian Walker at first. I just like Arizona in general. I think they win this game straight up. If I were in a legal sports betting state, as you say, I would be betting on Arizona tonight.
Yeah. And first you would sign up for the FanDuel no sweat first
Get
bet.
the no sweat. Yeah. I
the
really
no
wish
sweat first
I
bet.
could do that. Yeah.
Yeah, up to 1K. I do too. One day it will be our turn. Okay, Cards, anything you want to add here on DK that you feel is worth noting that's different from FanDuel? Or if not, we can take a few QQs and call it a day.
Yeah, Cheese hit most of them. I mean, Donovan and Cronenworth at second are mildly affordable, relatively speaking, on DraftKings. So, but we've talked about second base being a save spot. Will help you get maybe those high-end outfielders. And it does feel like with the bats, maybe more of a stars and scrubs approach on DraftKings will work because you've got the aforementioned cheap Stone in the outfield. And then you've got Pasquantino is 2,200 on DK. So you can get like maybe 2 or 3 2K-ish bats. You're not spending a premium on your pitchers tonight, and that'll help you fit in the Alvarez's and Sotos and Goldschmidts of the world.
Okay, let's take a few QQs before we get on out of here. We got a couple here in the Discord I am watching. One of them is from Gregorius the Wise, which, just FYI, one of my favorite names in the Discord.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like Middle Ages, Gregorius the Wise. Cards, Burleson or Isbell?
I'll go with Burleson. He's raked in the minor leagues this year, and the Cardinals are giving him a chance. And he's been starting a little more. They said they wanted to see what they have in him. And I believe I got to see how many at bats he has. I mean, it's not a ton. But
yeah, I know what you're going to say, and because I saw it this morning
yet.
too when I looked. Yeah,
it's only 12 at bats, but anyway, he hasn't struck out yet, and he's got pop. Like, don't be fooled by the fact that he doesn't have an extra base hit yet. He's a good hitter, and the Reds pitcher tonight, Anderson, is just a gas can. So give me Burleson there.
Very nice. Okay,
yeah, I absolutely saw that this morning. I went to his Fangraphs, and yeah, I wish it was more at bats, but still, you don't see a 0% usually even after one game for most people.
Right. Didn't we have a guy early in the season on in Cleveland?
Oh, Stephen Kwan. His strikeout rate is still only like 7 or 8%, 9%.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Except Burleson can actually hit home runs.
Right. Yeah. Raymond says FanDuel GPP. Geez, do you like Machado or Arenado better tonight? I'm stuck. Hopefully this is still relevant.
It is. Yeah. I mean, they're both so great. I like Arenado better.
Okay. Cheese, I'm coming to you with this cash question from Tom. He says, I've got 5 Minnesota players. Is that too many in DK cash?
Yeah, I think it is. I would try to play around with that.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Here's a good question. Favorite stack. Maybe we'll end it on this. Well, actually, we've got some questions to ask first. Favorite small field stack on DK cards? Did we lose cards? What happened here? Oh,
he's doing his favorite thing. The thing that cards.
All right. So I've been tracking this, and the last 5 times it's happened, 3 times it's happened right at the top of an hour, And the other 2 times it's happened at 45 minutes past the hour. Exactly. Each of the last 5 times, it's been either 45 minutes past the hour or the top of the hour. It's absurd. I cannot figure out what's going on. And it happens once a show. So there we are. And anyway, small field, it depends. Is it a 3-man, a 5-man, a 20-man? I don't know. Like small field, I still kind of like the Padres. Like if you're looking to get a little more creative, huge field, give me the Royals.
Okay. Cards, was your trivia the strikeout thing?
No, that is not my trivia. We have not done my trivia yet.
Great. Okay. Cheese, favorite stack, small field GPP?
Arizona.
Okay. Tell me about Pringles, Cheese. I am a Pringles fan, but I don't know if this story has anything to do with Pringles.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to be able to tell you a much better story tomorrow, and I better be able to. So I'm at the grocery store today just to pick up some random things, and we have the Halloween aisle is out.
Okay.
So I'm going down the Halloween aisle because, why not? And there's Pringles in the Halloween aisle. I'm like, well, that's kind of a weird thing. So, of course, I'm going to get Pringles anyway. Once you see them, you get them, right? So the can, it says glow in the dark. Like that's what makes it Halloween Pringles. It does not specify, Kevin, on the can that anything about the can is glow in the dark. So I am eating Pringles in the dark tonight, and I better be able to see them. So I will report back tomorrow. But
He's going to be very disappointed when the actual chips don't glow in the dark.
Watching some football in the dark with my glow in the dark Pringles.
So what you need to do here, just to make sure that whatever glows in the dark has its power, is you need to pull out some Pringles and the can, set them in the sun or under bright lights.
Oh, the Pringles are laid out outside on the deck right now. Yes.
That's good. That's what you need to do to test this properly.
Yeah. Because and obviously whatever they do to make them glow in the dark is fully healthy. Like, no question. What
could be wrong there? Wow.
Oh, that's cool. I will not spoil this for you guys, but I have Googled the time machine to see what's going on, but I'm not going to spoil it for anybody.
Okay,
else.
don't let us know because I'm
not going to say anything to anybody else. I'm not here tomorrow, so I had to see.
Right. Okay, Cards, you've got some trivia for us. And
I do.
I am intrigued, sir.
Cheese might know this. He might have heard it or seen it at some point today, but in honor of me being the Cardinals fan, so the Cardinals, Roth, are you aware that Yadier Molina and Adam Wainwright set the all-time record for most starts by a pitcher and a catcher together last night?
I was completely unaware. No.
Okay, well, now you're aware. Yeah. So the previous record was 324 starts by a pitcher and a catcher way back from the 1900s something. And pitchers used to pitch like every 3 days back in the old days. So you could, so the fact that Wainwright and Molina in this day and age, where pitchers are only pitching every 5 or 6 days, have the most starts ever by a pitcher and a catcher together is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how, it's probably never going to be broken because Wainwright and Molina have been together since 2006. 2007 was Wainwright's first start. So it's like 15 years. And they've both been largely healthy. Like Wainwright missed 1 season, but 325 starts together, pitcher and catcher, pretty remarkable stuff. So they kind of made a big deal about it last night. Do you know, Roth, and you don't have to give me the combo, but the next highest active number, Wainwright and Molina are at 325 starts together. What is the next highest active number by any pitcher-catcher combo in the league right now?
I'm going to think real quickly about an old pitcher. I know I don't have to give the names, but I'm just going to try to think.
I'll tell you the names after, first. But yeah.
Okay. Well, no, it's not David Price because he's moved teams. I need an old pitcher who's been somewhere for a while.
It also has to have a catcher that's been there a while. See,
right, but I don't have any idea.
Yeah.
So if I could just figure out an old pitcher, I'd feel pretty good. Yeah, I have no idea, so I'm going to guess the number is maybe half of that, like 150.
Cheese, have you seen this? I don't want you to spoil anything. But
no, I have not.
Right. All right, good. So what do you think the number is?
Yeah, so I have no idea who it is. I would have guessed it's probably in the mid-hundreds too. Like that. That's about the range I would guess.
Yeah, so it's Kyle Hendricks and Wilson Contreras at 105. So they're only 220 starts away from Wainwright and Molina.
That is remarkable. Yeah.
And next after that is Aaron Nola and JT Realmuto at 88. And then after that, it's Molina again with Jack Flaherty, which is pretty crazy. But
This record might be safe for
forever.
a while / ever.
Yeah. Unless you start counting openers that are pitching, who knows how baseball will evolve. But it was just mind blowing to me because they were talking about how it would never be broken, and I'm thinking, well, that's what you say about every record. And then they say the next active pair is at 105, like three times as many ways. It was pretty crazy to, And then they said that they showed something on the air that Molina has caught like 192,000 pitches or something like that, and then my knees started to hurt. So anyway, that's my trip.
No, that's pretty great. I kind of want to look at the list now and see, like, all right, so the guy who was in second was from 1907 or whatever, but like, was there any other more recent people on the list?
Yeah, I haven't seen
list.
I'd have to look. Yeah. I don't have the all-time list pulled up. I just had some of the active ones that they put. Okay. From 325 to 105 is the current list.
That's pretty shocking. All right, we've got some baseball coming up. We've got some football coming up. We've got a show 45 minutes before lock, the Showdown show. So make sure you're watching that. That's going to be great stuff. If you're participating in the old Showdown slates, you definitely want to be on that. But let me make sure we didn't get any random QQs. We got a couple QQs actually before we get out of here. Cheese, DK Cash 3v3, Sanchez Machado Tucker or Sal Pal Witt Profar?
I would go Sal, Witt, and Profar there.
Okay. And then cards. This is the last question here. DK Cash. Oh, no, it was the same question. Are you aware that on Houston broadcasts, they refer to Kyle Tucker as King Tuck?
That's fantastic. No, I had not heard that. That's great.
All right. Well, we got a new nickname.
I mean, I loved him already. I'm an even bigger fan now.
That's worth a bump.
Yeah, we're in. Okay, I've got babies screaming and dogs barking, and we've got a lot to get to. So we are going to get out of here for Cheese and for Cards and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love it. And we will catch you tomorrow. Have fun with those glow-in-the-dark Pringles. You have been crunched.